Hello everyone, welcome to today's podcast. So this podcast is with Parker, who has his own podcast named as Taking a Breath. So sit back, relax, and listen to this podcast till the end. We have discussed many more topics about things like which are very useful for your daily life, and so sit back and enjoy.
Alrighty, what's up, everybody? Excited to do a little bit of a collaboration episode today. I have a special guest on, this episode. We're going to kind of go do a little bit of back and forth dialogue. As you guys know, I'm really interested in collaborating with other young leaders right now, and so excited to have a guest today, and I'm going to allow him to introduce himself.
So hello everyone, my name is Dhananjay. I'm a student from Mumbai, India. So you know the land, the greatness of this land, right? So I got in touch with Parker. So here we are recording a podcast together.
And this is super exciting, and I'm really glad that you agreed to do a collaboration. And we're kind of working on two different. So he's got his podcast that we're kind of working with, and then also taking a breath. I'm excited to do some collaboration there. So Dhananjay, tell us a little bit about why you're kind of passionate about building up young leaders, and why working with other young creative people is so important to you.
So I would share you my mind story. So when we are going into when I was into my schooling and the teenage age, and going participating in many competitions and everything. So the main aspect there was I was very good at teamwork, working with people, making things work out, and going through that process of building teams and working with people. So that was the main thing. I was good at managing people. So that's what it kicked in. So my father is also a businessman, so he runs a business here in India. So that hereditary business thing was already into my personality. So I started out with it. So when I was at the age of 16, so I started out with selling and marketing, because I thought it would be a very great experience for me, to interact with people, talk to people, know their attitude. So how business world works and everything. So that's how I got into building teams. So I had a team of 50 people working with me. So they were of the same age group of 18, 16, 17. So I was working with them, so training them, teaching them stuff how they can go ahead with things. So that's
Fantastic. That's so exciting. And what was one of the big takeaways for you from that experience?
So basically till the age of in India we basically live till the age of 24 with our parents. So that thing is very much pretty much which we are dependent on our parents for our school fees and everything. So at that age of 16, so it was a very big hit for me, how our parents are struggling with uh, uh, doing anything for any sort, gifting me a mobile phone, or giving me such a good life. So they are struggling too, right? They're working and making that earning that every penny out there. So at the age of 16, I've gone through that process, how earning a single rupee is also very hard. So that was the thing,
Yeah.
and that was the main takeaway from that.
100%. And so what does the next couple of years look like for you as you're kind of going into so you're 18 right now, is that right?
Yes.
And so as you're going coming out of the teens, early 20s, what does the next couple of years look like for you?
So starting from my school days, I'm very much interested in business and things like that. So my
Yeah.
goal, when I'll get into my professional life and everything, or starting my own business for itself. So my goal is helping people like us, who are starting out their career in sales, marketing, or any of that sort, who are starting out with their business, right? So they need some kind of training and help and mentoring too. So my main goal is to help small businesses flourish through this internet and digital age. So that is the main
Yeah.
goal, and I'm working for it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, yeah. And it's so cool to see how you're already, taking steps towards your goals with experience, because a lot of people, I think it is hard, especially at 18, 17, 18, 19, to try to really make those steps tangible and figure that out. So it's really cool to see how, you've already worked on a team of people and started to develop the sales and marketing side of stuff, because all of that is really, it's going to gear you towards success in your, getting towards your goals, because all of those experiences 100% are. So have you graduated from like what we would consider high school, and then now you're already in college, or you're going into college this year?
I will be going into college this year.
Okay, and so what is that going to look like for you guys? I mean, I know doing your first year of college during all of this time is going to be definitely interesting. What are you kind of looking forward to, and how are you adapting to the changes with what's going on in the world right now?
So yeah, the looking towards our career professionally, so it's gonna take a major hit. We were in this transition of hiring people based upon their degrees or hiring people based upon their skills. So in India, so there are the major population of people is of youngsters, right? So people who are going through their college. So after this time, the companies and everyone would be looking for skills in you. So yeah, that is the major thing. So I also I looked upon it. So am I working towards developing my skills, or I'm just working for a degree? So yeah, I thought skills is the major thing. So the thing working on your skills, this transition is going to happen in India in next 2 to 3 years because of this COVID. So yeah, I'm working towards it, and I'm planning to graduate from a marketing major. So yeah, that's how it lies for the professional part.
Yeah, no, and that's so cool. And I think that it's going to be important to figure out, right, how to navigate everything. And so it's cool that you're already kind of thinking through that, because I know a lot of people are going to go in and be like, dang, for here, we move in a week from today, basically, to college. And it's really interesting to see, the people that are really making an effort to already be reaching out and already be trying to get plugged in, versus the people who are just going to show up and hope that it happens, hope that they get plugged in, or and that type of thing. So I really think that will be a struggle for some people, but the people who really take initiative and are really putting themselves out there are going to be the ones that see success, especially with this first year during COVID-19.
So yeah, there is a beautiful things you would be knowing about that Hollywood, Bollywood, and people here in India very much into it. So there is a movie called as Kabir Singh. So there is a very special dialogue from it. So I would like to quote it here. So the actor tells it like this, quotes it like this, there is no specific scope in a career, but there is a scope in a person, an individual, how he can go. Of course, AI, machine learning is going to be the next thing in the future, but just because it is going to boom in the future, it doesn't mean that I should get into it and learn it. But if I like marketing, so it's the thing is in me, right? So that thing has a scope in myself. So yeah, working towards it's that thing I would like to add up here.
Yeah, and I love the idea of really pairing what your skills and what you really enjoy doing with something that's going to, you're going to see fulfillment through, right? You're going to really enjoy what you're doing. And so that's something that, and I actually I'm putting out an episode this Friday about pairing what you're passionate about with also, those skill sets. And it's such an interesting thing, because I think a lot of our generation is really interested, right, in this idea of doing something that you're passionate about. And I don't know if it's the same as much in Mumbai, but here a lot of times it's if you can find something that you really enjoy and can also live off of it, then that's where a lot of people see the most success, because they really want to work hard to do well. And so I've really been interested in that. The lady that I interviewed, is the CEO of a business here in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I live, called 321 Coffee. And it's specifically a coffee shop for adults with disabilities. And it employs adults with disabilities. And it's just incredible the work that she's doing with this nonprofit coffee shop that's basically just this opportunity for people to really give back to the community. And not only that, but she is really giving so much to this community. And just a really incredible job that she's doing making this business successful. And something that we talked about a lot is how she has always been really passionate about helping people, about seeing people, about giving back to the community, about building up the community around her. And all of these things she was able to put into a passion, which is now, a coffee shop that employs adults with disabilities and is able to give them a place to work, a place to earn money, and then also that the community can come and have a great experience in the shop. So I think that's something that's really important. Tell me a little bit about kind of the culture in India. Is it that same culture of like pairing your passions with something that you can do, or what does that look like for you guys?
So as I mentioned earlier, like we live in a very patriarchal society here, right? So things here, like at the age of 18, like most people do not have that power to decide upon their career. Of course, like if their parents are like very forward thinking, they would suggest them career paths or like help them out with their career. But the thing is, like, of course, if you are not exposed to the market out there, like the people out there, you would know, you don't have any potential to explore yourself, right, at that age. So yeah, basically that's the problem here. I am not telling that this is the majority of problem, but yeah, there is some part of the society like facing this, like what they actually want to do. So passion thing, so like the startup culture, the people turning towards entrepreneurship, this thing is starting right now in India, right? So this thing is growing. As you might know that India is a land of like many startups, right? So there are like thousands and lakhs of startups getting out here in India. So yeah, so this culture is getting more up, and like following your passion and what you love is the thing I see like growing out here in India.
Yeah, and I bet, like what you're saying, I bet over the next like 5-10 years, we'll see a little bit more of that. And that's the same, I think you mentioned with podcasting, like over the next, 5-10 years, there's going to see more, just as more people are starting to create and starting to kind of do different things related to a lot of like social media technology. I think, and that's the same in the United States or in other countries. It's like, there's always been, social media hasn't been around for that long, right? Like the iPhone, Android, like these companies are fairly new in the grand scheme of things. And so it definitely is interesting to see as, people are adapting to new technology, what that's going to look like for these different spaces that previous to the year 2000, there was no jobs that were like social media, and now it's a huge industry for so many companies. So I just think it's definitely about changing with the times, and it takes time for people, for companies to realize the importance of social media. I was working with a nonprofit, and still am, about figuring out how to really grow their space, their social media space, because prior to like basically when I started talking to them, they hadn't used anything with Instagram, they hadn't used anything with Facebook, and this is like in 2020, right? So just trying to reframe that, where some people think, oh, it's not that important, but really that's where your largest audience is. Everyone is on there every single day. So I think that's something that's going to be really interesting to see over the next few years as well, just social media in general.
Yeah, so like basically the internet culture. So India here, the purchasing power is very less in our hands, right? And you may know that the YouTube ad revenue and everything is pretty much low here in India. So the thing is, like, people now are switching into like on the internet age and the internet platform. So like you may be heard of Jio, right? You have heard of Jio, Reliance Jio. So it is basically a stream, like a mobile network company. So the thing was that it had launched in like basically 2 to 3 years prior. So they were giving out free internet to the people, and like currently the internet rates are very pretty much cheap here in India. So like people are like getting into internet right now, and so the social media thing and everything. So TikTok recently got banned in India, but earlier India was the biggest market for TikTok. So
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
so yeah, this internet
Dang.
and social media is just like coming up here in India.
Yeah, and that's wild. I think that they were talking about that in the U.S. too, about potentially banning it. Do
Banning.
you know the reason why they did decide to do that for India?
So basically, I don't know if you're following up with this. India and China, there is a province called as Ladakh in the northernmost part of the country. So
Hmm.
the border between India and China, so there are some clashes going out there. So like
I see.
China is entering into India's property and like occupying that particular property territory. So yeah, that was the one major thing I think that has led to this ban, and also like privacy and security issues of TikTok, sharing data of people. So yeah, that is the major part, of course, like India going ahead with this banning TikTok.
Yeah. And I had seen, and that was kind of the U.S. talk of it as well, of just like privacy and data security and everything, which is understandable. But it's definitely interesting to see how like TikTok, right? Like you can go from no audience to like a large audience in a very short amount of time. I always thought that was very interesting. But it's the same with social media in general, right? You start posting content. We see this, right? Because with the podcast, we're posting clips and videos and pictures and all this type of stuff. And I'm doing it, pretty regularly on the daily, of like clips from podcasts I'm doing or working with other podcasters, and really trying to generate not only an audience for myself, but just really sharing and sharing people's stories, right? So like a lot of mine hasn't been about really like growing my own personal audience, more of sharing the stories of other people with my audience, and really interesting people, mostly that are in my life, personally, that have mentored me and everything like that. And so that's been really cool, to really be able to share the stories of people who have been influential in my life, where they've come from. For your podcast, like tell everyone a little bit, just like what is your kind of long-term goal? Why did you start the podcast, and then B, like what do you want to share through the platform?
So yeah, like we were talking about, like this culture of following your passion and entrepreneurship is growing here in India,
Yep.
right? So when I was at the age of 16, so there were also like people and mentors who are helping for the people who have like at the age who are in their 20s, right? So that specific audience had already like the people who were guiding them. So the age of 16 to 18, like that particular age, they don't have like a particular people to look upon, like mentors and everything. So like I'm not a mentor nor a professional, but yeah, I'm sharing my side of the story. Like you are also podcaster, and you are also done
Mm.
like many things in your like early age of like your teenage. So this is the particular thing, right? I don't believe in giving motivational speeches or like inspirational speeches or any kind of thing, but when we are having a conversation, right, so we put our heart out and like share many things that we have experienced in our like in the whatever we have done in any field. So and at any point of time they would relate to a specific thing, and like they can draw inspiration right from there and start working what they are interested in. So yeah, that is the main aim of my podcast, like to have a conversation like who is doing well in his field, so that one who is listening to this like can get a great insight about what's really happening and how they can adapt to the changes in the market out there.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love that. And I think that for you like our podcasts in essence are a very similar idea, because obviously you're sharing conversations But I think what you said, the experience side of it, it isn't that we are very experienced, but more that we're just sharing our experiences. And I think that's so important because a lot of people don't realize that their story can impact someone, right? Like you might feel like, oh, I just lived, I've just living my life, but the experiences that you've had, the stories that you have experienced are very uniquely yours, right? And so when I share stories like the few that I've shared with, the nonprofit, the interview that I did the other day, those types of things, no one else has had the exact same interview and talk and conversation with those people, and I've learned from those conversations, and that's what I want to share. At the end of the day, you are very unique. No matter, whoever's listening to this, right? You have a very unique story to tell. You have a very unique experience to share. And so, a lot of times if you think about it in terms of like, you're almost doing a disservice to other people by not sharing your story, because they can learn from the mistakes you've made, from the failures you've had, from the wins that you've had, and that's what it's all about, really. Not just letting it end with you, right? Like, okay, this thing happened to me, I learned from it, and then it ends. But if you can share that learning experience and help others to not make the same mistakes, that's a huge benefit to anyone who can listen to it.
So yeah, that's the beautiful thing, right? Drawing a line between hard work and smart work. So in hard work, you're getting into the work and like working your ass off for it. But for like in the smart work process, so like you're hearing to people. So if you're sharing your story, like each and everyone like who is listening to this has this particular story, like it's okay if you have not earned millions. Some money is not the top like point of like discussion out here, but the experience that you have, it's very important, like sharing out with people. And like one can if a person is able to learn a little bit from that, so that is a very great thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just wanted to say thank you so much just for allowing the opportunity to be able to collaborate today. So excited to be able to share this conversation with both of our listeners. And, really at the end of the day, we'll make sure to get tags in each other's Instagrams and everything like that. But, make sure that if you don't follow either of us, make sure to follow, check out the work that Dan and Jay is doing, that I'm doing with Taking a Breath. And we'll look forward to sharing more conversations like this every week with young people interested in sharing their story.
I would like to add something here. So basically the thing is like you're hearing to this, maybe you're busy right now, or like you're doing something and hearing to it in this your background. So just to take a moment out there, think about what you're doing and what you really like to do. Like always, like I'm sure that Parker's inbox and mine inbox is always ready. Just drop a message, talk with someone, like talking to people, and it will help you grow yourself. Like understanding other people's perspective is very important. So go ahead with that. So I would like to ask you one question. So this is a basic thing I follow in my podcast. So what is the one message that you would like to give to the people who are listening to this, or the teenagers out there?
Yeah, absolutely. If I could just say one message, to anyone listening, it would be take that first step. Because at the end of the day, it sounds so simple, but so many people don't want to get started just by taking that first step because they want everything to line up before it's that first step. But if you're listening today, if you're watching, all you have to do is just take that first step. And that's going to get you towards those goals. No matter what your goals are, if you can spend the time today to think through what is that first step for me, that's where you're going to see success. It's all about the first step.
Like getting out of your comfort zone, and there are many more zones to explore, and that's how you go ahead with everything you like. So thank you for having me on your podcast, and it's very a very good experience to like talk with someone who is from a foreign country and like interact with people and understanding their side of their story and how they have gone through many things. So thank you once again for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you guys next week.
Hope you have listened till here and you have enjoyed this podcast. If you have enjoyed this podcast, make sure to hit the like button below and also share this video with your friend. I'm not asking you to do this, but this YouTube algorithm likes it. If you also mind subscribing, it would be of great help and motivate me to put up more such videos. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure to follow this channel. I post more such podcasts here and more such fun conversations. Also, make sure to check out his podcast and also his Instagram page. I will link it down below. Thank you for your time. Hope you have a great day ahead. Goodbye.